Guys, welcome back to HPL. We're about to get our first match underway, Super JJ versus Jab. Nathan, we talked a lot about Jab playing Hunter. What do you think JJ is going to queue up right away?
Well, you know, I got to believe he's going to go with Rogue. I think as far as these players are concerned, they have something to prove to themselves and to their opponent here. And, you know, Jab, again, he's known for that Hunter play, and Super JJ known for that Rogue play. So it's a matter, I think, of how they build their strategies to line up versus what kind they expect from their opponents. Now, there's obviously a lot more leveling that goes into that. These players are thinking constantly about what he's thinking, what does he think that I'm thinking, etc. But we're going to find out exactly what they're playing. Game one is about to get underway. Super JJ versus Jab.
Guys, make sure you get out there on Twitter. Use that hashtag HPL. Let us know what you think is going to happen in this match. And already, we're seeing some interesting things here. It looks like Super JJ has queued up a pre-stack, while Jab, it looks like Tempo Mage.
Yeah, this is, I mean, this is kind of where that leveling battle starts out. Super JJ, again, you know, we talked about how innovative he can be. He's already showing it. Priest, amongst a lot of pros, is widely considered one of the weakest classes that there is. But if you can find the right kinds of openings, you can get so much pressure with this deck that it's almost insurmountable with the way that they can get control over the board, kill your minions, make sure that their life total's topped up, and of course that hero power when you're in those minion trading scenarios gives you the ability to kill tons of minions, remain mana efficient, and have a ton of options.
Yeah, you hit on all the points that the Priest needs to do in all their matchups against the aggressive decks. Now we see a great opening start here from Jab with a turn 1 Mana Worm and a turn 2 Mad Scientist. I mean, you can almost not draw it up better than this.
Yeah, this is an excellent start for him. He's even got 2 copies of Unstable Portal. He's got the coin to make sure he can beef up that Mana Worm next turn. I mean, Mana Worm's potentially 4 power next turn, so almost anything that Super JJ is going to throw on this board is going to end up getting checked one way or another.
Yeah, Super JJ is going to have to stabilize his life total as much as he can here in the early game and just try to get to the mid game to where this All-Shine Soul Priest Circle of Healing combo can actually re-get him board control.
Yeah, he also has another choice here. This is kind of like a really interesting position that you often see Priest in, is how much they're willing to commit to one single minion. Injured Blade Master Circle of Healing is obviously a very strong combo in terms of getting one minion on the board, but against something like Mage, it is a little bit scary because you could face down something like Fireball. You could Polymorph's not a popular choice, but you know, it is something you have to take account for. Even something like Mad Scientist, I'm sorry, not Mad, Frostbolt is something he needs to account for in a scenario like this. So I like the fact that he's being patient. He's going to look to get more minion kills out of this game and really go from there.
All right, look like Super JJ. Ooh, that was a good one to get off Unstable Portal.
Just the old 5/5.
Yeah, just the old 5/5 for 2 mana. Yeah. And you know, if he has another dragon in his deck, if he has like an Azure Drake in his deck.
You're right. He gets some like Azure.
I think he does have Azure Drakes in his deck.
Azure Drake in his opening hand. He mulliganed it away. You know, he may even have something like Nefarian in here. It's not impossible.
So just an actual great pickup for Jab there. Just one of the perfect minions to come off Unstable Portal there.
Yeah, anytime you can Unstable Portal and then cast the minion that turn and have the minion be impactful, that's really kind of the dream scenario. Off to a very big lead, and you know, just like we talked about too, he was looking for a big Auchenai Soul Priest turn. A 5 health minion off of Unstable Portal is about the last thing he wanted to see.
Yeah, it was just absolutely perfect. It's gonna, you know, throw a wrench in Super JJ's plan this turn. You saw him heal last turn to set up this turn of playing All-Shine Soul Priest into the Circle of Healing combo, and it's not gonna put him in the position that he thought it was going to.
Yeah, I don't really see like too many great options here. I think that going for the Auchenai and Circle of Healing is a fine play anyway. The problem with this one is that you're losing your Auchenai Soul Priest potentially to hero power next turn. Your opponent gets to keep a 5 power minion. They get a secret off of the Mad Scientist death. This is one of those positions where you're like, well, what else can I do? I mean, at this rate, it looks to me like he's hoping he draws something that can deal damage to this I keep forgetting the name. Is Dragon Consort?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if he can pick up something like Holy Nova, maybe a Smite, maybe even a Wild Pyromancer, so he can trigger it with something like Power Word Shield.
This is interesting. He's going to fire off this Succubus here for 0 and discard a card.
Yeah.
I think he's fine with this, though. He's got so much power in play right now, and he just knows there's not a lot of sweepers that are going to kill both of his minions here, besides the one that Super JJ has, but can't cast this turn, and Light Bomb.
Yeah, Deathlord, I don't think is necessarily a bad pickup in a spot like this either. I mean, you're facing down so much damage. The Consort, again, it's at 1 health. You're not excited to play Deathlord here, but it's an answer at least to something that's happening.
I also liked him, he gets to proc the Mirror Entity here with the Northshire Cleric, and that's a pretty good spot to be in. You don't have to give him a minion that's actually like very useful for him. Giving him a 1/3 that he's probably never going to be able to use the ability for is pretty good. And he's going to turn his Deathlord into a 2/10 here, hoping to have it survive or take up all of the attacks this turn.
Yeah, really looking to occupy a lot of Jab's mana, commit it in a certain way. We talked about it yesterday. We saw a ton of it. Players at the top level often will play effects that are disrupting the way their opponent chooses to utilize their mana. When you're kind of dictating the pace of your opponent's play, it means you're taking options away from from them. And against someone who's going to sequence very well, the last thing you want them to have is a lot of options.
Yeah, and speaking of good mana utilization, Jabs has been amazing this game. He's been using every mana every turn, including the coin, and getting value off of it. And we see a Harrison Jones come from out of his deck and into play.
Yeah, anytime you get a 5-power minion off of a Deathlord, I think you're pretty happy with it, especially in a matchup when you get Harrison Jones and your opponent doesn't have any weapons in their deck.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to draw that one anymore. It's just straight up in play.
He doesn't have to draw it, and he doesn't have to invest mana into it. That was just great for Jab here. JJ very much on the back foot here. He's got a couple plays to him. He can do a Light Bomb this turn, and he can, which is actually what he's going to do. He's going to do a Light Bomb here. It's going to leave a couple minions back behind, but Jab, his offense has been slowed down quite a bit here in this last turn. And
Mechanical Yeti,
that was another pretty
honestly,
good draw.
I'm not surprised to see Mechanical Yeti in here with what we've seen. You know, he's very focused on his early game and then curving out afterwards. So when he's got stuff like Mana Worm, he's got Archmage Antonidas in his deck, it makes sense to kind of have this sort of mid-sized minion. He's also got Flamewaker, so multiple ways to utilize spare parts in his deck. This is some very intelligent deck building from Jab here. We've seen versions of Tempo Mage kind of come into the foray, but I don't think I've seen Mechanical Yeti actually utilized effectively in one of these decks yet.
Now, this is going to be a pretty cool turn. It looks like Super JJ is going to get to activate this Flamewaker.
Wow, Light of the Naru is a pretty darn good draw.
It's going to give him 3 health, give him a minute, and it's going to activate his Flamewaker. He was going to hopefully get a little lucky there, maybe pick off the Mana Worm. Yeah, the Mana Worm, but it didn't work out for him there, or the Northshire Cleric.
So pretty interesting turn here from Jab now. I mean, this is, you don't always just want to run an Archmage Antonidas on the board, but he's got to find a way to do something with his mana and very effectively. The Cabal Shadow Priest effectively killing this Flamewaker also gives him a 2/2 from that. And at this point, he doesn't have any spells in his hand, so he can't trigger the Archmage. He can get a spare part off the Mechanical Yeti, but how is he actually looking to win from this point? Because the Light Warden is going to continue to grow if he doesn't deal with this, so it's so some of these minions are committed to killing that. He doesn't want to leave Flamewaker on the board. Again, priests have lots of options for spells, stuff like Holy Nova, Thought Steal. We've seen both the Power Word Shield, but even something like Shadow Word Death could come into effect here, so that's going to play into his head when he's thinking about this Archmage Antonidas. This is really one of those very pivotal turns for Jab where he has to decide, am I going to try to kill my opponent, or am I going to try to grind this game out a little bit?
And you're going to see him try to grind this game out a little bit, which I thought he was going to do. He's going to clear off some of these minions. What I think Jab's going to do is play for the board this turn with Sorcerer's Apprentice, and then make Super JJ deal with this and leave Antonidas in his hand as like a backup plan for the next couple turns, and just have it to finish the game later, because he's going to get a spare part off this Mechanical Yeti, and it's going to get him a couple of extra fireballs in his hand. He's going to look for a big turn to gain a lot of fireballs off of his Antonidas.
Yeah, this is a pretty perfect turn here for Super JJ too. I mean, not much better can you get with the old Holy Nova, kill your whole board, and
that Wild Pyromancer was a good
power
draw.
out.
Yeah, that Wild Pyromancer was a pretty good draw there to get the extra damage on this Holy Nova.
I don't even necessarily mind just running the Cabal Shadow Priest in the Mechanical Yeti and then Holy Novaing afterwards. You're going to get a couple more health on your Cabal Shadow Priest. You don't get the Wild Pyromancer out, but you don't always want that on board either. Sometimes it's nice to save that effect and to kind of surprise your opponent with it. But Jab's so low on cards, is there a spot that he can effectively utilize that card even?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he chooses to use the Wild Pyromancer or not this turn. You could also just, play the Pyromancer after the Holy Nova if you don't want to get the extra damage off it, like if you just want to run your Cabal Shadow Priest into his Mechanical Yeti. So he's got a lot of options here this turn, all of which are going to decimate Jab's board. So they're all pretty good. He just has to find the best one, and the one that makes him a winning line over the next couple turns.
He can even play the Injured Blade Master and use the Holy Nova to keep those two both in effect. And he's got the Shadow Word Death afterwards, so he's even got something like Dr. Boom or Archmage Antonidas checked. Really strong position here from Super JJ, and that's because he was able to get the board stabilized and then push afterwards.
Yeah, you're seeing him understand his matchups here. He's going to use a lot of mana to clear the board, keep the board safe, and mix in these healings in every turn, just like we talked about. That is the key for priests to do in all of their matchups.
Yeah, a little bit of missequencing here by Super JJ. He could have attacked his Cabal Shadow Priest, used Holy Nova, and then Hero Power, kept that at 5 health, but not too terribly important here. I mean, it's just, the extra 2 health is going to be checked at pretty much every step of the way, whether it's going to be from that Fireball. The only thing it really changes is if he has something like Frostbolt. So not a huge deal. And there, again, the Shadow Word Death to pick off that super key minion there. Jab is down to the felt in terms of his cards. He's got it. I guess Azure Drake is probably going to be one of his best draws here.
Yeah, Azure Drake could be one of his best draws, but as you're seeing, this is a problem that happens a lot with Tempo Mage. That was not a terrible draw. It was a pretty impactful minion, but you see this a lot with these decks like Tempo Mage, where if they don't get you low enough early, they run out of a lot of gas here late in the game because they draw 1 drops, 2 drops, 3 drops. If they're not in range to finish you off of like a Fireball or a couple Frostbolt or something like that, they generally have a lot of hard time closing games against decks that can recuperate some of their lost life.
Yeah, it certainly is the case. And this Wild Pyromancer, again, we were just talking about maybe wanting to save it, not always wanting to have that effect on the board. Because he's got that Velen's Chosen in his hand, it's going to deal 1 damage to everything. So he can't just cast it on his Cabal Shadow Priest and then just run it into. He's got to kind of put some investment here into this Wild Pyromancer. I like the fact he's choosing to utilize the Whirling Blade here and hold on to the Velen's Chosen potentially. He's just got so many options. This is the point where superjj is looking to completely have the game choked out. Going to kill almost every minion that Jab wants to play for the rest of the game. Utilize that hero power, keep himself topped up. Those are 2 very big points for Priest, is how well they can stay out of range of burst and how many minions they can kill throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, again, you've seen superjj just put a firm, tight grip on this game. There's not many draws that Jab can have. He's going to have like running Azure Drakes into something very good over the next couple turns. He needs this Flame Cannon to be good here. This one could actually be disastrous, and it is. Ooh, that's not the minion he wanted to hit here.
Yeah, it stings a little bit, but I don't think he has many options going forward. I think he's just got to run the Fireball into it and hope for the best.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to run the Fireball, hope for the best, as you said, and is he about to Fireball himself? I knew he wasn't going to Fireball himself, but he was just pointing at himself. But it's going to be interesting to see how this game plays out. Jab, he knows he's behind, he knows he's losing, but he's going to fight it out. He's a fighter, and he's going to make superjj kill him here. There are draws.
Yeah,
both sides of this board that can have Jab winning this game.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know exactly what's in Jab's deck. I mean, anything could be in here still. And just like you said, like even just 1 Azure Drake could really turn this game around and move forward from there. So they're going to go ahead and use the Zombie Chow. He knows that healing his opponent isn't like a tremendous liability at this point. Just getting efficiency out of your cards. And if Jab doesn't draw something very strong right here, which Clockwork Gnome definitely isn't, these Injured Blade Masters are now about to start getting out of control.
Yeah, we're going to see he's even going for face with damage here, knowing that him doing that to any of the minions is just not good enough. Now, he draws a useless Shadow Madness here. That's actually one of the draws that Jab needed JJ to make, a card that doesn't immediately impact the board here, so he gets a few more draws this game, but the writing is definitely on the wall here. These Injured Blade Masters are going to start to take over the game.
Yeah, so Clockwork Gnome going to get a spare part here likely. Yep. I wouldn't have minded pushing damage here for the board, but again, when you can choke out all of your opponent's options, it's such a strong point for Priest, and that's exactly what you're seeing. So Frostbolt, kind of waning or kind of stemming some of this damage now. Still Jab has a couple of draws that could be impactful here, but it's a matter of whether or not superjj can draw impactful minions.
And
that is a very good one right now.
Yeah, it's going to allow him to draw an extra card. Now, he talked about Jab using his Frostbolt there to take out one of the Injured Blade Masters. This isn't what the Frostbolt is in his deck for. It's mostly for early game tempo and to finish your opponent off with burst damage late in the game. And as we see, Jab isn't in a position to be able to do that. And we're also seeing JJ kind of just churn through his whole deck here this turn. Yeah, it's a great turn for JJ here.
The fact that he had this board position is what makes Northshire Cleric so devastating when he gets that point. Look at 3 mana too, by the way, that Dragon Consort came into play a little bit. Mirror Image, not so good. Again,
even JJ gets a little giggle out of it.
Like you can see that Jab's deck, like you said, has been very oriented towards the early game. So the fact that slipped away from him that's what's putting him in these kinds of positions. And this is one of the spots where I think Priest shines. Again, just once it's got control of the board, it can continue to kind of oppress its will upon its opponent and really get everything it needs to get done. He's going to keep drawing 2 cards a turn. It's disastrous for Jab in that regard. Both these cards don't really do anything in this spot though, so that's the one thing that Jab has going for him right now.
Yeah, I mean, JJ can't finish the, well, that was actually a really, really good draw.
That one is okay. Gonna sweep out both of those taunts. Able to check this Azure Drake now, just with his Injured Blade Master, doesn't have to worry about it dying to hero power. And look at that, a 7-2 Light Warden sticking to the board. A 1-mana card has caused a lot of disaster this game.
Barring Jab randomly having a Flame Strike in his deck, I think we're going to be seeing a 1-0 win here for JJ, and he's going to be up in the match.
Yeah, Jab's just going to pass it over to JJ and let him finish off this game. Very excellent display here from superjj in this game 1, and this is exactly what we talked about, those innovative tendencies from him. I think he's caught Jab a little off guard in this game, and that's putting him ahead in this series.
Absolutely. Now, he knew that Jab was going to be aggressive in whatever deck that he picked. We just know that Jab loves to be aggressive, loves to put his opponent on defensive, and you saw him come with a Priest deck with a lot of ways to interact early, and he got in a lot of hero powers, which you saw Priests always want to use all of their mana, get board control, and sneak in some hero powers here or there to keep their life total high enough. And you saw him superjj do that. to a T there and easily win the game in the middle and late game.
Yeah, really big display of what Priest is about too. Not looking to push that early game aggression and kind of get the ball rolling that way, just looking to keep the board under control. So Jab's got to go back to the drawing board here a little bit and figure out exactly what he wants to do. He's got to be thrown off at this point.
Yeah, he's thrown off a little bit, but I fully expect him to go back to Hunter. I actually talked to Jab a little bit earlier today on his stream, and I asked him, I was like, Jab, can we expect to see Hunter 5 times today if it goes to 5? I was like, we're going to see Hunter every one, and he's like, I don't want to give too much away, but he's like, I'm about 80% to play Hunter. So I fully expect to see Hunter very quickly here, and you know what? Depending on which build he has, you've got some pretty decent matchups against Priest.
Yeah, I think Hunter can absolutely do very well against Priest, especially if something like Pilot Shredder is going to be his build, which is something that I know that Jab tends to favor is more of the mid-range builds that's going on. So anyways, these guys are making changes to their decks, and they're making sure they're picture perfect for game 2. Super JJ again up a game, but when we come back, we're going to find out if Jab can tie the series or if Super JJ is going to get a 2-0 lead. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.